And so I've begun recording. And so, welcome everyone. Welcome, Majestics. So happy to be able to have this time with you guys. And I know your time is precious. So hopefully we'll put some ideas in your heads, especially the parents, right? That'll help you organize yourselves in a way that you can maximize the potential of every child that you have, and if they are trying to reach for higher goals as far as education, um, we'll give you some ways to think about it so that you can organize the family. Families all come in all shapes and sizes, and they have limited resources, and so we want to make sure we're able to help each family be able to do that. So just wanted to turn the time over, Geraldine. I'm going to share my screen, right?
Yes, please. That sounds good. All right. So thank you for having us tonight. It's been maybe almost a year, right, since we've spoken, and a lot of good has come in the last year for us. On screen right now, you're seeing some of the kids that we were able to place into colleges, and which is very exciting. This is the whole purpose of our work, is really to find opportunities for kids who are ready. And so you may notice some of these players, Malia Isaacs, both her and Kiani got accepted into Harvard. And certainly that wasn't done just by us. It was them, all of them, preparing themselves academically for these great opportunities. We have our daughter there, Nafi. Some of you had met her last year. She came and spoke. And then our son, Alema, who was at Stanford, that's a non-student athlete, just a regular student. So for those of you that are looking to just go on academics, that's fine as well. Lily Thomas, right there, has actually got accepted to U.S. Military Academy. That's one of the hardest, most rigorous application processes. And then Malay Fafita plays for Provo, is going to the powerhouse rugby team of Lindenwood University. Sailor Russell there, she plays for Brighton, Wasatch. She's awaiting some of the NIRA acceptance letters. And then Anise Tuya was with you guys, I believe, Majestics, and is now with United. She got accepted to American International. So there's great things that await you girls. We really are excited for the work that we're doing. If you want to go to the next screen there, Alema. So just want to introduce ourselves. I'm G, this is Alema, and we're Manuia. This name actually stems from our last name, Fitisa Manu. Fiti meaning flip or fall, and Manuia meaning blessing. So the proverb literally states, may a blessing fall your way. And so this is the work that we're doing with families, is helping them prepare for those big blessings, right, that are available. So our mission specifically in helping families is to bridge gaps, the biggest gap being college funding. Many of our families uh, can't afford, frankly, the high cost of college. And so by us helping you understand that there's funding available really makes that a game changer. Accessing educational consultant services. These services are typically reserved for the wealthy. Many of them pay crazy amounts, right, to get into these elite colleges. And so we want to make this service available. Understanding the admission process, that's a big thing, because when you're looking at applying, you're applying with somewhere, sometimes universities have 40,000 people applying at one year. It's crazy to think of that, but that's why it's important for us to work with you so that you can understand how to go about presenting yourself in the best light. And then the mindset of, do I belong? Am I good enough? Can I afford this? All of that um, helps us lift our community in ways that we know our potential is unlimited. And being able to actually get on these campuses and contribute in a way that is meaningful. So here we are. Both Alema and I have different skill sets that complement each other. mine more so working in the home as a mom, raising 5 kids. Don't want to leave anyone out.
You forgot to.
But a lot of them have goals, service missions for our church. Many of them went through the Eagle, or I should say scouting program. We have a Rugby All-American and that kind of track. All of these requires a goal-oriented lifestyle, right? So I'm currently working at Salt Lake Community College with Saini, and we work with online students, and we built programs there. And then, of course, my claim to fame was I ran a marathon. So that just kind of shows you the grit and determination. Alema here has done a lot with football recruiting. More specifically, he was the director of player personnel at Brigham Young University. Before that, he was at University of Utah. We love our local colleges here. He's currently a scout for USA Rugby under 18. And so that makes it even more, I guess, valid when you're looking at addressing talent, right? Scouting talent. And so he certainly brings a strength in that area. And then his claim to fame was being on the national football team for BYU. So both of us kind of have these strengths, and go BYU. Strengths that we can complement and really help families organize themselves. So in order to kind of legitimize our work, we are members of IECA, right? This is an independent educational consultant association, best practices. And that's important because you do want those that are kind of on the forefront are understanding the issues and changes and updates that come along with college admission. And so in order to be a part of this, you're required to visit 70 college campuses, and Alema has been to 80. Can you imagine? Not just 1, 2, 10, but actually 80 college campuses. So that really gives him a knowledge of what the environment is and how we can really prepare our girls specifically to be successful. So the next slide is the funnest slide you'll ever look at. This is like the sticker shock slide where you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how much college costs. And so what this slide actually helps with is understanding the value, right? When you're looking at working with a college, maybe even getting offered a spot there and then being able to be awarded needs-based financial aid, it's a huge accomplishment. These numbers that you're seeing take into account your tuition and fees, right? Then in addition to that, your room and board, you need a place to stay and food to eat. Books, yeah, you gotta have books to attend those classes. And then even personal items, sometimes based on your family's financial situation, you're awarded like a stipend to pay for things, personal things that you need. And then transportation to and from a college. So when you're getting awarded, people think it's a scholarship, but it's actually, these universities have millions, actually billions with a B of dollars in funding for need-based. It's a huge achievement. And then you times this by 4. This is only for the year, an academic year of 2 semesters. So you're looking upwards of $400,000 being awarded. That's nothing to sneeze at, guys. If you're feeling like, wow, you can win the lottery, just
Geraldine, I'll just interject. This is what we're playing for. This is the reason why we would organize ourselves in such a way so that we can receive help with these big numbers, right? So you got Ivy League there. It's 80,000 a year. You got the Army there, United States Military Academy, 105,000. That's $420,000 degree that you're getting from those places. So, many families look
yeah,
at
this
that
is
and they
not
go,
chump
"Oh, I can
change.
afford that. I got that in my pocket right now." And then other families would say, "Man, I'm going to need some help," and this is where we come in.
Right. Thanks, Alema. So the next slide kind of gives you an idea of the top 50 colleges in the US, right? surprise. Princeton was ranked #1 last year. And many times that's based on their admissions, like how hard it is to get in. So when I talk about 40,000 applying to Harvard last year and only less than 5%, only 2,000 got in out of all those applicants, only 2,000. But the great thing about these colleges as well is the educational opportunity is the funding opportunity. And just to give you an idea, Harvard has 40 million or billion with a B dollars in need-based funding. 40 billion. So it's hard for them to give away all that money because that's a lot of money.
They can't find enough kids to give the money to, and then this endowment that they have, um, it gets it just grows year over year because they can't give it
Right.
away fast enough.
You compound that interest and it's a wonder why it's in the billions, right? Cornell University, one of the other top Ivy League colleges, they actually funded 100% of their need base. 6,000 students, 6,000 got awarded 100% need based financial aid. And so what I want to just let you parents know is if we get our girls ready academically as well as on the field, the sky's the limit, you know, and certainly it was in our case when our daughter got a spot there at Harvard. Her financial aid letter was more than I made an entire year, probably double. And I laugh at that because I'm so happy. Trust me. Nothing to doubt like Salt Lake Community College, but parents, man, when our kids get these opportunities, it's a game changer for our entire family. Their siblings, their nephews and nieces that are like, man, if they can go, why can't I go? What do I need to do to prepare myself? So I'll turn some time over to Alum. He'll talk a little bit more specifics.
So, um, this is another glad message that we have. The first one was about funding. That if you wanted to get into, if you can get into school, school will be paid for, right? From those top schools. Well, here are the schools that also play rugby, and they offer this needs-based financial aid that'll pay for all your schooling. So what I've done here is put three leagues up here, and it was a lot to put up there, but I just wanted you guys to see. And let's start here right in the middle. If you can see my mouse there, it's the NIRA Rugby Association, and all these schools are part of the NIRA Association currently. And this league is growing, one or two universities a year. They're joining it because it's NCAA backed, and that's the reason why. And so there's something unique to women's rugby that's happening with women's rugby. Men's rugby, they aren't getting many opportunities. They're not having schools turn into varsity sports on their campuses. But for women's rugby, and because of Title IX, they are, you know, making it a priority to make women's rugby on their campuses varsity. So let's look at some of these schools that are varsity sports. So that's Harvard, that's Army, that's Brown University, that's Kathy Flores, Dartmouth, that's Katie Dowdy, and then all these other schools. So these schools are all along the East Coast. It's New York, Pennsylvania, um, Massachusetts, and all these East Coast teams. So if you got to get used to thinking East Coast a little bit for now, but these are great opportunities. This is school being paid for, right? And so this is NIRA. Some of the things that you can see, and then I've written those up here in white. It's a varsity sport in their school. So the university has made it a varsity sport. That means it's 100% funded by the athletic department. They're not trying to raise money for anything. This is not club. So they get travel paid for. They get full-time coaches. They got strength and conditioning. They got training table, all that stuff. This is a fully funded sport. It is NCAA backed. The third thing, which is key, is the admissions help. So in order to go into Harvard, you need a certain GPA, a certain ACT score. And what they do for their student athletes and rugby players, um, is help them. They will lower the ACT and the GPA so that you can get into school. So this is the admissions help that these schools do for their students that they're recruiting. And then of course full tuition and books, full room and board, and that's just the start. So if it was just tuition and books, room and board, that's an athletic scholarship, right? Now let me add this to it: travel to and from school every semester, a computer, internships, study abroad. This is where this aid that they receive, we call this needs-based financial aid. This is where what they help with exceeds an athletic scholarship. So
And I just wanted to kind of chime in there. You know, when I'm talking about 40,000 waiting in line to be admitted, when you're there with admission help from a coach, you're not waiting in 40,000 line. You're waiting in like a 12 to 15 spot line. It changes uh, being able to work with a coach when they're saying, this is the girl I want this year. I have 12 spots, and these are the names of the girls. And so it really bodes well for you as a player and as families to kind of just go to the front of that line and be able to say, you know, I'm ready to take this spot.
okay, let's look at these other leagues. So this is up here on the left is D1 Elite. These are the great, the right now currently the best rugby schools in the country, right? We got Lindenwood there, we got Central Washington, Penn State, Life University, and at these schools, I've written what they help with. So at these schools, they are fully varsity sports fully funded by the athletic department at their university. I always put USA Rugby in there because that's part of their league. USA Rugby takes part in helping manage their their league. They do have admissions help. They have pieces of tuition and books. They do a really good job of tuition and books. This is where they'd be lacking room and board help. And sometimes they go into FAFSA to see what loans you qualify for to make up the parts that they don't have as far as straight out uh, financial aid, needs-based financial aid. So you're paying out of pocket a little bit for all these schools. And that's the point I want to make different from these schools where you're going to have everything taken care of. Then D1A college rugby, this league right here, and it keeps changing all the time. And just mind you, for all three leagues, it's kind of fluid right now, because they all want to come to the NIRA, and as they prepare their athletic departments, they slip over. But until then, for these guys down here, they're all club. So what happens in club is you get no athletic department support. USA Rugby is kind of helping them manage the entire league, and then you get no admissions help. You're gonna have to get into school all by yourself. You get no tuition and books, no room and board. So what happens is you're getting into school all by yourself, paying it everything out of pocket, and you you go and join the club, the team uh, that's at that school, and it's club, it gets no support. So what happens is you're raising money for travel, you're raising money for jerseys, all that kind of stuff, and so it's very limited. So the rugby experience at some of these schools, they do a really good job having no money. I would say like at BYU, it's a pretty good rugby experience for a club, right? And then Navy, this is the exception, right? So Navy, if you get into school there, they're usually pretty good at travel and that kind of stuff. And the other thing about Navy is it's an academy. If you got into school by yourself, it has all the cadets in Navy get into school for free, right? They get into school and everything's paid for. You just have a commitment. You have that 5-year military commitment that you have to um, do after you graduate. Okay, so this is the rugby landscape. So many opportunities for women's rugby. We want to push these opportunities to as many girls as we can. And our relationships with these coaches are pretty tight. We're on a weekly basis as far as finding talent. And as the season started, these last two games. So the first two games were kind of rough with the bad weather, right? And that was tough to see some players. But man, last Saturday's great weather, where we were able to showcase and see some really good talent. And man, we're loaded even more this year. You know, between Salt Lake and Utah County, there's some great talent coming through. So how do we get college paid for? These are the three things: character, academics, good film. And we'll go over that here as we explain what great character is. It's service, it's leadership, your talents that you're developing, a job helps show that you chip in and you pay, either you're paying your way or you're helping mom and dad. It could be you're babysitting and you're watching your siblings. That all counts as service, right? Um, let's talk about leadership a little bit. If you're planning an activity and you're giving ideas and input into some of the things that you're involved in, that's leadership. Service, it could be as simple as your experience with young women's. For those of you that are LDS, young women's activities of you know where else in the world do you get taught how to say a prayer, figure out who it is that needs ministering to, make assignments to those who we can go minister to, and figure out what you're going to do for them, uh, have them do the assignment and then report back. um, no one else does that. This is like a Utah culture thing, right? It makes you very unique. And if you're doing this because it's one of those things that's important to you, you have service as one of my core values in my family, and this is what we do every week when we go to Young Women's, and you journal that thing, you journal your experiences, right? This will give you the the information you need, so when you finally open up that application, you have things to put down, experiences to put down. So um, and never underestimate your involvement in young women. Great academics. You have to have a certain GPA to get into these schools, right? And each of those schools have their own uh, GPA minimum and ACT, SAT score minimum. And so, and the top schools, they'll look at rigor. They'll look at if you're challenging yourself with an honors class or an AP class. Your relationships with your teachers is so important because those are the ones you're going to ask to write your letters of recommendation. Gone are the days of checking the box and just, oh, can you write a letter of recommendation? Your junior year, senior year, you're gonna you're gonna carry out this relationship. Started freshman, sophomore year, and you're gonna have a real relationship where you're actually looking out for each other and participating in different activities, so that you get really close. They can be able, when you ask them to write that letter of recommendation, they're able to write in such a powerful way. They know all your strengths, all your challenges, you know, and that's what's going to do it as far as making you stand out. And then, of course, we just talked to a student earlier today. You know, this helps a lot. If you have great film, then coaches are jumping over themselves to see how they can help you get into school. If you have great film, and that's just the reality of it, because they're all looking to have they're all trying to be national champs, right? So they're fussing and fighting over the talent. So if you got great film, this helps a lot. So size and athleticism, your speed, your upside, your impact on the game. Do you make an impact on the game when you get in? Your game awareness. This is just your savvy around in the game situations. It's just your regular skills like catching and passing. Your attack line, support lines, your defense, your disposition in contact. Do you shy away from the contact, or do you love getting into contact? And then your overall fitness and strength is going to be looked at. So when I'm there scouting for USA Rugby, not for our university, but for USA Rugby, these are some of the things I'm looking at.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the funding. Alema's talked a lot about how you get school paid for. And this is where we have to put it all together. The admission strategy is the way that we can package an applicant towards their best light. So some of the strategies are, if you're just going to go academics, and that's fine too. Sometimes, like Alema said, talent maybe not your strength, but academic is. You can still get in these great schools without being a student athlete. And that's kind of what our son did. He just went straight academics. But I got to tell you what, coming from Utah, which is an underrepresented geographical region, being a woman, being an underrepresented population of Polynesia, Pacific Islander, having this great character and leadership bodes well for you either way, just being a student or a student athlete. Now you tack on maybe a community leader. Maybe you participated in student council. Maybe you were on the student body. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, like you started a little business. We have so many kids that are getting online and doing their own thing and actually doing very well. Maybe you're a musician or an artist and you have talent that's been displayed on a certain level. Maybe you enjoy science or technology or math. I'm telling you what, girls, the sky's the limit. So don't think just because you're not an All-American that you're out of the game. That's not true at all. In fact, that is the whole reason why we're doing this, is we want more of our Polynesian community to be represented. You don't have to go on a football scholarship to get school paid for. You know, that's our whole mindset right now, is we can be great at anything. And so I want you to keep that in mind.
So I
Something.
was just gonna say the going the academic route, where we package you as one of these, everything but student athlete, is a great route because that needs-based financial aid is available to anybody who gets in the school. So all you need to do is get into school, and school's paid for at these universities.
And so this is kind of why you want to work with us. Why do I need to work with you versus just trying to do it on my own? Okay. Number one is a relationship with coaches. Like Alema said, when they see your film, like they'll start turning in their minds. They're like, hey, we got to get a hold of this girl. We got to start building a relationship. And recruiting can happen as early as your sophomore year. Okay.
Oh, you're frozen, Geraldine. Geraldine, Gerald, Geraldine.
Wanting to help the underserved or the underprivileged. And that's really where our passion comes in, is we knew if our kids could get into schools, there were so many of our more of our Polynesian kids that could as well. We didn't want to keep that from our community. We really want to see our community just grow and flourish in a way that maybe it's never thought of before. Um, as we go on to Power Five and Ivy League, the recruiting process is something Alema is ultimately familiar with. You know, when coaches reach out your sophomore year, even your junior year, they're reaching out to hundreds of girls, but that trickles down from 100 to then 50, right? And then who is going to be left after those 50? It's those kids that do the work. They fill out the Common App. They make sure their ACT and GPA is at that baseline. You know, they're not just going to let anyone come in. It's really academically challenging. And so that's the girls that continue forward on that recruiting process. Us being able, bless you, to package you in a way that it's like, man, not only is she a star athlete and she's great in the classroom, but look at all this service. Look at the character. This girl's going to come on our campus and she's going to contribute to a culture, and she's going to help people see more of the view of the world rather than what the elite Ivy League schools are typically made of, right? You can go to our next slide. Um, so here's what we've done. We've designed packages for every stage of the game, meaning from when you first start your freshman year on up to hitting submit on your senior application. And if you girls out there are thinking, oh, I'm just a freshman, I don't need help with college, that is actually to your detriment. Because if you are a freshman, you are in the best position to really hit those benchmarks and to create a history um, of all this great service and character building activities that you've participated in. But your junior year is really the recruiting season. Most schools are locking down who they want that junior year. And then senior year is making sure you do everything you can to make you a viable applicant, meaning your ACT is done, it's hit that mark. We've written your personal essays, personal statements, you filled out all your activities. And this kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight. In fact, if we're trying to put together things in a month, that's actually a stretch because things, letters of recommendations take time putting together. Your personal essay, it's not written in a night. We go through several revisions and we really try and display you in a way that they're just like, oh my gosh, where's this girl been? Why didn't we know about her sooner? So anyways, this kind of just gives you an idea of the work we can do. So basically, if you feel like you would like to work with us, you can book a free consultation. We would meet with you and your parents, and we would interview you so that we can understand where you're at academically, service-wise, character-wise, film-wise, and then we would be able to start that communication with the coaches and see where we're at and how we can best package you for the long run. Okay, so that's basically our presentation. You could probably stop recording here, Alema, but we'd like to hang out with you for